So, Konami just dropped another update for the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection on PC, and this one actually does a bit more than the last one. We're gonna go game by game, breaking down what changed, what didn't, and whether it actually improves the experience. Let's start with the biggest glow up in this update. MGS1 went from version 1.5.0 all the way to 3.0, and Konami added something I honestly didn't expect this late after launch: new presentation modes. There are now two new options: high resolution and max resolution. These modes increase the internal rendering resolution to 1280 by 960 and 2560 by 1920 respectively. And they also apply what looks like a form of PGXP, basically helping to clean up the geometry wobble and precision issues from the original PlayStation hardware. On top of that, they've added higher resolution UI textures, a new high resolution font, and even higher quality FMV cutscenes. And I gotta say, this is all genuinely great. The UI upgrades in particular look really nice and make the game feel way more modern than before. But it's not perfect. The biggest issue is that these modes force bilinear texture filtering, which makes the original low-res textures look blurry. You lose that sharp pixel look, and there's no option in-game to turn it off. Also, not all UI elements were updated. The Kodak portraits, for example, are still the original low-resolution images. Considering how much time you spend in Kodak calls, it's a bit of a missed opportunity not seeing higher quality versions of those Yoji Shinkawa illustrations. And of course, still no proper widescreen support. The 16:9 option just stretches the image, same as before. So yeah, big improvements, but still some weird limitations. That's where MGSHDFix comes in. This mod is basically essential now. It lets you disable the forced bilinear filtering, use any resolution you want, add proper widescreen support, and fix a bunch of smaller issues. With it, you can basically clean up most of the problems introduced or not addressed by Konami.
Am I too late?
Now, when compared to DuckStation, the situation has changed. This updated version actually has some advantages now. Better UI textures, higher resolution text,
is 140.85,
and improved FMVs.
They're out of work with no way to turn.
But DuckStation still wins in terms of accuracy, especially with audio. Proper dithering support for a more authentic retro presentation. Better customization overall. And built-in high-quality CRT filters. There's also a small detail. Some geometry seams show up in the Master Collection's high-resolution modes that you don't see in DuckStation with PGXP. So the conclusion here? This is a great update. And with MGSHDFix, this version is now very close to being the definitive way to play MGS1 on PC. The only real downside left is the slightly less accurate audio emulation, but for most people that's a pretty minor issue. Now moving on to MGS3. And yeah, this one is a bit more complicated. The game was updated from version 2.0.1 to 3.0, and the big addition here is a new optional high-resolution texture pack. First thing to know, this is a 70GB download. And here's the weird part. This DLC doesn't just add textures, it also unlocks new internal resolution options, including 1440p and 4K. So, if you want those higher resolutions, you have to install the texture pack, even if you don't care about the textures themselves. That's a strange design choice, to say the least. Now, about the textures themselves, they're actually pretty good. It looks like a mix of AI upscale textures and handcrafted improvements. Most of the small text on surfaces has been properly redone by hand, which is great, although you can still spot the occasional upscaled asset. Compared to the old fan-made AI texture packs, this official one is better in most cases. The only exception, in my opinion, is Snake's face. The beard looks a bit cartoony here, while the modded version looked more natural and detailed. But overall, the DLC textures are a solid upgrade, especially on clothing and character details. Now, even with the new resolution options, the same old issues are still here. Post-processing effects like bloom and depth of field are still diminished or non-existent. Rain effects are still barely visible. No anisotropic filtering option. Gamma levels are off. And the audio quality is still poor. So yeah, none of that was fixed. Once again, MGSHDFix is still a must-have. It can fix the rain, enable anisotropic filtering, and improve a bunch of other issues. But it still can't fix bloom and depth of field, unfortunately. And this is where PCSX2 currently still has an edge. The PS2 version, when emulated, can run at high resolutions while keeping the original post-processing effects intact. But PCSX2 has its own downsides. Visual glitches, no proper widescreen support for UI elements, and the general emulator quirks. So it's not a perfect alternative either. At the end of the day, this update is good, but not enough. The texture pack is a nice addition, even if it's huge, and the new resolution options are a step in the right direction. But the same core issues remain untouched. So the conclusion stays mostly the same. With mods, this is still the best overall way to play MGS3 on PC, but it's still not perfect. And now MGS2. Yeah, this one's gonna be quick. The game went from version 2.0.2 to 2.1.0, and the only real change is the skybox in the planned chapter intro cutscene has been fixed. That's it. And to be fair, there was already a mod that fixed this before, so it's not exactly a huge deal. But hey, at least now you don't need the mod for that specific issue. Other than that, nothing. No resolution improvements, no audio fixes, no visual fixes, nothing. So yeah, pretty underwhelming. Hopefully this just means that Konami is working on a bigger 3.0 style update for MGS2 as well. So overall, this update is kind of a mixed bag. MGS1 got a surprisingly great update, and with mods, it's now basically one of the best ways to experience the game. MGS3 got some nice additions, especially the texture pack, but still suffers from the same technical issues as before. And MGS2 barely changed at all. At least things are moving in the right direction. Now, the question is whether Konami is going to keep pushing updates like this, or if this is as far as it goes. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more. If you want to get in touch with me, join the Discord or follow me on X. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.